It's playoffs or bust for Mario Cristobal and the Miami Hurricanes this year. This is one of the best teams that Miami has assembled in a very long time. And I know it seems like we say that every single year as Hurricanes fans, but with the portal class that Mario's bringing in, it should fix the biggest weaknesses from last year's team, which was the back end of that defense. They have brought in 4 of the top 20 rated cornerbacks out of the transfer portal, a new defensive coordinator that's really good from Minnesota. The offense should still be as good as what it was last year. It may drop off slightly because there is a drop off going from Cam Ward to Carson Beck, but Carson Beck has shown that he's a capable quarterback if you give him a good supporting cast. We know Miami stacked that receiver. They got a great offensive line. They're going to be great running the football. Now it all comes down to Mario being able to put the pieces together and deliver Miami a CFP berth. And if that doesn't happen, he deserves to get fired. And they have a brutal path to get there because this schedule is really tough compared to last season where you didn't have too many quality teams. This year, though, week 1 out the gate, you're thrown into the fire with Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman, who were just in the national championship. And 2025 Notre Dame is going to be even better than what 2024 Notre Dame was. So this game is going to show us a lot early, not just about this team, but Mario Cristobal's future. Because if he loses to Marcus Freeman, then the pressure intensifies going into that Florida game. Because you get tune-up games against Bethune-Cookman and USF. And then if you lose to Florida after already losing to Notre Dame, I think the season's already over because you, at that point, lost 2 games that were huge in terms of building confidence for the rest of the season. And yeah, you know, losing those 2 games wouldn't completely eliminate you from playoff contention or even making it to the ACC Conference Championship game, but it definitely doesn't give you a lot of confidence about Mario Cristobal, especially when you got to go on the road to play a overhauled Florida State team and Doak Campbell. You got to play Jeff Brom in Louisville at home. But the good thing is that Miami gets a bye week before both of those games, which could be a huge advantage. It can help them get more time to recover, strategize, prepare. So I don't know how they were able to get such a lucky break like this when they just get bye weeks before 2 big games like this. But these are huge matchups because remember, these are the first 2 games of ACC play for Miami, and you get bye weeks before both of them. So you could start conference play easily 2-0. And if you beat Notre Dame and Florida, boom, you're undefeated, and here we go. We really have the ball rolling. If Miami can start off this year, you know, with just 1 loss, I think that, you know, I like their chances to run the table and finish the regular season probably 11-1 because, look, there's a chance that you could split against Notre Dame and Florida. Florida is definitely going to be a way better team this year than what they were last year, but Miami still has the upper hand because they got the more superior roster in terms of experience and talent. But you know, even if you lose to Florida, if you beat Notre Dame, if you can at least walk away with the win in one of those games, you're sitting pretty. But if you lose both, man, that's a big dagger. Now, after, you know, you get through the first half of the schedule, that's when things really start to ramp up in difficulty for Miami. And you may say, what do you mean, JT? Like, playing Florida and Notre Dame early wasn't the most difficult part of the schedule. No, because it's more easier to pull off an upset or to win early during the season than it is late. Because early during the season, you could catch a team off guard because maybe they still are trying to work the kinks out from fall and spring camp. They're still trying to build that chemistry. Early during the years where you can see a lot of upsets. But late during the season, though, is when you see Miami oftentimes fall off the rails like they did this past year. They're undefeated and boom, they lose to Syracuse and Georgia Tech. Remember a few years ago when they had that big season under Mark Rick and they almost made it to the playoffs? They end up falling off late during the stretch, losing the Pit, and then Clemson the ACC championship. Like when Miami loses, the losses just have a problem of magnifying. Like they stack on top of each other and it just completely throws the season off whack for the Canes, which is why this late season stretch of Stanford, SMU, Syracuse, NC State, Virginia Tech, and Pitt, both on the road to end the regular season, are so crucial for Miami because you got a Stanford team that, okay, you probably should beat them and beat them pretty handily. But SMU, on the other hand, though, that's the most critical game or the most crucial game for Mario Cristobal and the Canes this season because this probably could be a game that decides who ends up getting that second spot in the ACC title game. Rhett Lashlee has done a phenomenal job of reviving that SMU football program. He had them in the CFP last year, their first year ever in the P4 conference, which they, by the way, made it to the ACC title game as well. And you have him doing this with a team full of Miami's JV squad or Miami castaways. A lot of SMU's best players are from Miami. Mario Cristobal couldn't get what he wanted out of them, so he told them to hit the portal. Rhett Lashlee brings them in, and all of a sudden has them looking like studs. So if Rhett Lashlee beats Mario Cristobal, I think it will be a clear indicator that the dude needs to go, because if you have a better team and you're losing to a coach that has a worse team than you, it shows you that you're doing less with more and another guy is overachieving. So I think that if SMU beats Miami and, the season falls off from there, maybe Mario Cristobal gets fired and replaced for Rhett Lashlee. Who knows? Now you got Syracuse. That's a tough out because they got a pretty good coach. They're a well-coached team. Same thing with NC State, especially with them coming off a down season. Expect for them to have a major bounce-back year. And then Virginia Tech and Pitt on the road are just tough games just because this is where Miami is prone to have a letdown spot. This is where we've seen them in the past have great seasons that just melted apart because they've lost one or two of their last four. And this isn't the first time that we could see Pitt derail a promising season from Miami. And Virginia Tech, they were supposed to be a sleeper team to win the ACC last year, and they were nowhere close to that. But, this season, maybe they could end up, being a dark horse team and actually being the team this year that we thought they would be last year. So this is a very brutal schedule for Miami this year, and it's going to show us a lot. Not just about if this team is playoff caliber, but if Mario Cristobal is the right head coach to continue to lead this program. Me personally, I don't really see Miami winning anything more than 9 games max, but I could see a world where they get to 11, 10 wins, and they get to the ACC championship and they win it. Some of y'all want to call me a Miami hater, even though I'm a fan of this team, but it's like, being a fan has kind of made it hard to come on here and continue to always be blindly optimistic when it seems like the same cycle continues to happen with this program repeatedly. And it's just at this point, if there ever was a year for Miami to make a run, it has to be this season, man. This is a stacked team. Like, there's no holes on this roster unless we find a new hole. But Miami has to get it done this year. They have to get it done.